Yo, yo, yo. Hey guys, it's Kaye Sotomi, CEO and co-founder of Chop Chop. Uh, Welcome to another episode of Chop Chat where I get some of the coolest people doing some amazing stuff, people within my network, friends, and other people, to talk about some of the stuff that they're doing in their world, entrepreneurs. Today, I am super, super excited to have a boss lady, a 30 under 30, Alie Mackintosh. She's the CEO and founder of AYM Studios. She honestly is just like such an inspirational person. And, we're going to be talking everything from sustainability to how she got started. So without further ado, Alie, if you're there, jump in. Let's get you.
Hello.
Hey. Oh my
Thanks
God.
for that lovely introduction.
Yes, no. I don't even think I did it enough justice, to be honest with you, because it's actually the Draper 30 under 30 that you were recently on, which is absolutely amazing. And your business is what? You turn over $1 million in revenue, and you're over 5 years old now. How old? 5 years?
Yeah, about 7 years. So
About 7 years. Damn, like just insane. And just like so much. There's so much to get into. You're such an inspirational person in terms of just what you've achieved, and at such a young age, and the future just looks, and some of the pioneering things that you've done, coming from your space. So I'm excited. I'm excited to go into all of that. So first things first, obviously, is how did AYM Studios, like, how did it start? Because you have some of the most amazing people wearing your shit, like Kim K, like Hailey Bieber, Kylie Jenner. Like, what the fuck? Like, sorry, this is like wow. How did it start?
Sorry, it froze a little bit then.
Yeah.
So the start of the brand, it was really built out of a hobby for me. So I studied product design at St. Martin's in London, and I've always loved design and product making and figuring out really how to create a product that a customer loves. So I started teaching myself how to sew in the last year of uni, and took myself down to a local charity shop and bought a box of scrap fabric for £14. And basically turned that box of scrap fabric into my first collection and started selling that online. I was wearing the dresses myself out when I was going out in London to clubs and bars, and had girls coming up to me and asking me where my designs were from. And it was always a bit of an excitement for me to say, oh, it's actually something that I've made myself. And really just grew the business super organically right from the start, just making the dresses and sending them worldwide to customers. So yeah, wow. A very organic process.
Wow. That's just insane. And this journey started 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Where you, so you studied product design. Yeah. So you studied product design, but then obviously you learned how to be a seamstress and garment technician, and doing these things yourself, which is just incredible.
Yeah, I'm super curious. So for me, I was looking at garments that I wanted to make, and I just really needed to figure out how that could be made. So it was a process of teaching myself and learning how to pattern cut and how to actually construct the garment and make something from start to finish. Right. I think that whole process, learning that, was really useful for how I run the business today, because I understand all the elements that go into a design. I think oftentimes it can be really difficult when someone's got an idea of how you want it to be at the end, but no idea how to make that happen. So understanding all the things that go into it is really important and has been helpful for me.
That's incredible. I mean, what were some of the initial, so from the you know, you hear entrepreneurial stories and the journey is always, the question is, you know, I had this issue, you know, and I couldn't find a way to solve it, you know, and no one was doing it at the time. And so I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to jump in and do it, you know. And that's a very true story for myself and my co-founder when we created Chop Chop. You know, but what, you know, apart from having a curious mind, which is just fantastic because it's one of the most important things to, like, it's such an important thing to have, regardless of age or whatever, you just have to stay curious. And it's such an important quality to have. But what really inspired it, like, you know, you to say, I'm going to actually just do this, you know, or did it just literally come from your love of what you were doing and you just thought, you know what, I can do it, I'm curious, I'm just going to do it?
It was a bit of a combination. So I had a very clear idea of what I wanted the designs to look like, and I couldn't find that on the high street. So very minimal, no print, no pattern, very sort of classic timeless pieces, sort of like this, you know, just minimal palette. And I also found it frustrating when it came to bodycon dresses, which I love to wear. They were always just flimsy and unflattering. So they were made with a single layer of fabric and they would just show everything. And I through
do you think it was men that was making those clothes for women?
I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't know. But they just weren't flattering for me when I was putting them on. And right. I got the idea of it and I wanted to have that sort of hourglass shape and the seamlessness of the bodycon. But what I did is I just through experimentation double layered the fabric. So now we're creating garments that have double layered fabric, and we were really one of the first brands to do that. And that means that the garment is basically like shapewear inside the dress or inside the product. So that helps to make you feel confident and empowered and just to have that whole seamless fit to the garment.
That's just incredible. I mean, that's when I talked in your intro about pioneering stuff, you know, that's one of the things that you were one of the first to do, which is incredible. And, you know, you hear all these stories, you know, and I listen to, we've talked in the past about podcasts and stuff that we've enjoyed. But, you know, it's such a similar sort of type of idea to how Spanx was sort of created, right? Yeah. You know? And just thinking about fabric and how that, you know, I've always loved fashion. So, you know, it's just great synergy, and just great to hear how, you know, from you just wondering about making sure that something was, you know, more flattering to a woman's body, you know, and you know, ended up creating a business, you know, that's just, you know, that's born worldwide, which is such an important, and so we're going to talk about that a little bit too. It's just, you know, retail sort of bricks and mortar versus, you know, e-com, and, you know, how, you know, you're taking that. But before we go into that, obviously back in the day, you started this 7 years ago. You know, you have an amazing, loyal following group of people. You know, you've built, you know, such a great brand. But one of the things that's also just like, and I think you need to say this to people because I don't think a lot of people know, and I don't know if you know, but you model a lot of your clothes. So like your fitness regime is insane. Like, you know, your fitness regime is insane. Like I have this mantra, which is mind, body, spirit, you know, and I try to keep up with workouts and stuff like that. But, you know, you are like dedicated to that shit.
I don't know. Are you flattering me?
You're dedicated to your workout. Like you're not letting go, right? So, you know, how's that process been for you? Like, you know, building your own brand, wearing, and, you know, because I can see the benefits across it, you know, especially if you're a small business, you know, and you can rock your own brands and stuff like that. And, you know, but you also inspire a lot of, you know, women and girls, you know, in this space, you know, through what you're doing. How did you come to that decision that you wanted to be, you know, not only like, you know, you're the face of the brand, but you model the brand, you create the brand, and you know, you do your own designs and all of those things. Like, how do you cope with it? How did all these things come together in your mind?
I think that whole process has been very organic as well. It's not been a decision that I purposefully made to say, okay, I'm going to be doing the modeling in the photos. It was just that in the beginning, when you're creating a business from scratch, you have to be resourceful and you have to find a way of doing as many things as you possibly can, be a jack of all trades. And that just happened to include the modeling as well. And luckily for me, I've got a figure that works well with the clothes, and I am my own customer. So I enjoy putting on the clothes and seeing how I can style them, and I have fun with that part of the business. So it is something that I really enjoy, and I enjoy showing those images and, you know, sharing the styling that I've done on the outfits. And that's just grown with the business as well. In an ideal world, right now, we would have other models. But with lockdown, it makes it really difficult with photo shoots. So it's not really been that possible for us. We've had to do a lot of things where in an ideal world, we'd be a lot freer and using different models. So we will get back to that. But for now, it's just me with a remote control. Bodge job, but we make it work. And that's what it's about, really. You just have to be resourceful.
No, absolutely. And I love that. I love the fact that you pointed out the jack of all trade, and being a jack of all trade is such an essential part of being, you know, an entrepreneur and starting your own journey, or being the hero in your own journey or your story, right? Which is fantastic. No, that's so cool, and so multidimensional thinking, you know, in terms of how you're approaching it. So big fashion, you know, we hear, obviously we're in the middle of a pandemic. It's a perfect segue, you know, you talking about COVID, because for a moment I completely forgot, you know, that we're still, because it's just great to be inspired in the world and get out sometimes from the reality of today. But and you've been winning even while we've been in lockdown, which is, you know, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But you know, we're seeing the decimation of an industry and multiple industries in this period, which is heartbreaking. You know, some of the businesses probably, yes, needed to go, and it is possibly a cleansing as well. You know, but you know, we hear about Miss Selfridges, Topshop, Cat Kitson. There's so many iconic brands, you know, Debenhams retail stores, you know, that have filed for bankruptcy and are shutting down. How are you navigating this pandemic, and how's your business been through this whole process? And you
know, it's the same as any business in this situation. It's a challenge. We're in a time that none of us ever expected, and any risk management would never have said we're going to be in a situation where the whole world closes down and no one's allowed out of their house. That you don't even try and plan for those things. So it's completely unforeseen, which brings up so many different challenges. So it's a time where you have to think outside the box and you have to be creative about things. And for us in my industry with retail, it's difficult in the sense that clothes, traditionally you buy new clothes for an event or an occasion. And right now, obviously there's no events, no occasions. And how many new clothes can someone buy when they're just at home? Like there's a limit on it, right? So the way that we've looked at it is, well, we are a value-driven business and we should be able to offer something more than just the clothes themselves. And we've been really looking at our value and our purpose and how we improve our customers' lives during this time. So we're trying to do things that are more educational based around sustainability and responsible fashion and repurposing clothes that you've got before, and just trying to think, how do we do things that aren't just selling product all of the time? It's much more about value and driving a relationship with our customers that's going to be longer lasting than just this moment in time. One of the interesting things I think that has come out of this is that it's given people a shift of perspective. Instead of thinking all the time, oh, what's happening tomorrow? Right now, we all know what's going to be happening tomorrow. It's the same as today. So we have to now shift our perspective to say, okay, well, what's going to be happening in 4 months, in 6 months? And we're being forced now, whether through benefit or suffering, that we have to think long term.
Yeah.
And actually, I'm hopeful that by that shift in perspective, it will benefit everyone, because a long-term view allows us to think and live more sustainably anyway. So I'm hoping that that will be a benefit out of this. But that's really how we are processing business at this time, is just thinking long-term.
That's fantastic. I love that. I love the, you know, the realigning with your purpose and your why, and, you know, how you're, you know, thinking about the long-term sort of strategy, but also, you know, creating value beyond your product. And that's where your purpose really, really stands in. And, you know, I was like this, you know, for a lot of people, they probably don't know, but Alie and I got in touch, and there was, during the Black Lives Matter movement, she was pivotal in creating, you know, the BLM circularity T-shirt that we created, and the proceeds went to the Black curriculum. You know, but very quickly too, you had a whole piece on your website about the importance of this conversation. You know, and you taking the opportunity to try and learn and understand, and you bought books, and you had conversations with me and other Black friends of yours and female founders, you know, that were in your network. But, you know, it was incredible, you know, just you stepping forward in that moment. And you know, and a lot of people kept quiet and didn't, you know, some people didn't, but, you know, but you did great. So, you know, well done. And it's fantastic to have you, you know, as an ally, and, you know, and see that there are people out there that are really consciously thinking about, you know, their brand and their purpose, and how they have an impact beyond just the product that they sell or the revenues that they're trying to make, right? You know, but meaningful, purposeful driven concepts. Well done. It's incredible. It's incredible. So I'm going to change it up a little bit. Just, you know, bring some lightness into it. So obviously, you know, I know you can't tell me that you've been working all day, every day, you know. You know, I'm sure you've had some time to watch some Netflix and do some stuff. So tell me, what show have you watched during this period that has just blown your mind, that you're like, oh my God, I can't get enough of it, and you're upset that you finished either the episode or that the movie ended or whatever?
God, it's a difficult one. I'm not one for like watching
Oh,
TV.
no.
That's the problem.
Hold on. Have you seen anything?
Yes, I have. I have watched like all the main things that people have been talking about, like Bridgerton. That was good. I don't know. I just don't watch that much TV. I'm sorry. I'm more of a podcast girl.
Okay, great, awesome. All right, so maybe do that. Let's do that. I love that. Yeah. I had to ask either or, but yes. Okay, give me a podcast.
So I have been loving How I Built This. That's probably my ultimate go-to feel-good podcast.
Nice.
That's all about entrepreneurs' journeys and how they built their company. I'm also reading the book of that as well right now, which I love.
From Guy Raz, right?
Yeah, really, really good.
Yeah.
Just so many insightful you know, things about business leaders and how they started their company and the challenges that they faced. So loads of relatable things in there that you can pick up and learn from. And then I love like all the HBR podcasts. So Dear HBR Presents, all the business, everything business.
Alie stays in the pocket, yo. She's a game of inches person. She does not want that inch to slip.
We need to get alive,
basically. Wow. That's incredible. So what light touches, what do you do to relax when you're not?
I use some of the things that I do. So because the business was born out of a hobby, my hobby still exists in it. So when I'm relaxing, it will be doing things like design drawings or experimenting with new fabrics or sketching or coming up with ideas. Those sorts of things make me feel most relaxed and most comfortable and feel like I'm uplifted as well. So it's a process of, it is business, but it's because I love it and I enjoy it. So
that's so good. That's so good. Like, wow. I can't remember, but a friend of mine sent me a podcast. I got to send it to you, but it is, I forget what it is now, but anyway, they interviewed, high performance. It's called the high performance podcast.
Oh yeah. I like that one. It's good. It's mainly athletes I found on there.
Yeah, but no, there was a lady that created the not on the high street.
Oh, okay, cool.
The lady that created Not on the High Street. There's an interview about her. I'm not sure if I sent you this already, but
send it to me. I'd love to listen to it.
Yeah, man, she's exactly like you. Like literally what she just said. Like she breathes, sleeps, this is, everything is interconnected for her. There's no like, it's not work, it's work. It's not like, it's all sort of linked, and it's incredible. Yeah, you definitely need to listen to her. But yeah, she was such a powerful such a powerful person. Right. So, let's move on. Talk a little bit about, your purpose, not your purpose, but your process. So one of the cool things about AYM Studios, apart from, some of the simple, smart ways that you've just created a business from nothing, and thought about fabrics and done all this stuff. One of the great things is that from inception, perhaps I'm right or wrong, but maybe you can give me some clarity on this. But it appears that you actually thought about sustainability right at the front end of your business model. And today, obviously, with all of the stuff that's happening, and this conversation has been happening for a few years now in terms of the fashion industry, fast fashion, and how ugly that is as a business model, and the amount of waste that it creates and causes. But also there's a lot of other things that are not being that also have that are an impact to it. So for example, whether or not is poor wages that are being paid to people in third world countries that have to create a lot of these fabrics, and there's all these sort of human, social, as well as environmental costs associated with not thinking through your business model. But now we're seeing things like, circularity conversation with brands or platforms like Bebop, coming out and people being able to resell their stuff, which is fantastic. And we've seen Urban Outfitters and some of these other brands look at that. But pre-order is actually probably one of the most sustainable ways to deliver and not create waste in the first place. Like, look at it from inception, the very beginning. And you have been doing this. First of all, woo! What the fuck? Wow. Like, how fucking, honestly, just pioneering and thinking. How did you start with that? And you know, how's that process for you? How's that been? Like, insane.
So the thing for us is that I started the business because I wanted to make clothing that mattered. So first and foremost, I was designing with this intentionality to make this garment have a purpose to it, and I wanted people to feel good about it. So it never sat well with me to say, oh, we'll just make 1,000 of these and it's just quick mass production. That takes the matter out of it. It takes the purpose out of every garment when you start mass producing to that scale. And I think the way that I learned how to sew and to make the garments, I understood right from the beginning that everything takes time, and there's such a process involved in the creation of every single piece of clothing. So because of that, I made sure that it stayed in the UK, the production. I wanted to have the production side of the business really close to home so that I could be involved in that, because it was a passion of mine and I loved seeing the garments being created, knowing that we could adapt them and change them. So the ethical side of the business was born out of my understanding of the time that it takes to make every single garment. And then that led to me knowing that actually the wages that we're seeing and the costs of the garments that are being created in unethical positions, I know that that's not right. So that's not sitting well in my heart. I don't feel that we should be going down that route. And, you know, when I'm having conversations as the business grows and people that are coming into the business are saying, oh, you could get this garment made for 50p out there, like, let's get it done. And I just know in my heart that's not the way to go. I don't want to be just making thousands of these garments for 50p a piece. How is that person that's making that garment being treated? How is that fair? How does that add value, a positive value to the world? It doesn't. So that's very much been me wanting to keep things close to home so that I can make sure that it's done in an ethical way. So that's how the ethical side of the business has grown. And I think understanding that I want to create a product that has purpose also led me to this whole thinking that was around, we're creating something physical and tangible that's being put out into the world. Now, how do we make that product have a positive impact in the world rather than becoming waste and adding a negative, you know, feedback to the world? I don't want that to happen. So that really led to a lot of thought and a lot of internal sort of soul searching for me around how I make the business as sustainable as possible. And this is a journey that I think will last many more years, because I don't think that you ever get to 100% sustainability yet.
Yeah, of course not.
Like anything where you're creating something, it's adding something to the world. So you're adding something that hasn't existed before. So ultimately, we want that addition to be positive and actually to be regenerative. So it's even further than circularity. But that whole process takes a long time to get to.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a real journey around the ethical side of it and the sustainability. And then from a pre-order perspective, that was really, again, from the beginning, we were trying to be as resourceful as possible. In the fashion industry, it normally works with minimum order quantities. So you have to order a certain volume of units in order to get good prices to purchase that production. Because we had our own internal way of producing the garments, we had the first hires that I made were seamstresses. So right from the beginning, we were able to make the clothing. We were able to produce on a 1 unit basis rather than saying we have to make 1,000, 2,000 of these garments. So actually the business model came out as a pre-order model right from the inception of the business. And that's something that has allowed us to grow and to scale, because we're able to continuously evolve our product offering. So yeah.
So I mean, that I just want to keep you in that pocket for a second, right? Because you know, very, 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 really super interesting. Now, obviously, when you think about a pre-order model, you know, that model has existed, but in very high premium luxury spaces. So, you know, Savory is pre-order, right? You know, but the thing is that you're bringing this and making it a lot more, you're bringing it and making it a lot more accessible. So almost bringing it into a mass market position rather than, you know, the way that you think about pre-order back in the day. So that's one thing that's like, first of all, wow. You know, how did you manage that process in terms of, you know, because the cost of production versus, you know, how you price your product and then the margins and the benefit that you get on the back end for you, you know, because on the one hand, you can see how a lot of businesses would make it super cheap, design something, make it, just bulk it, send it, and then super cheap, and then they can make significant better margins on that. So how did that position come into being where you were able to say, okay, how am I going to actually make this work, doing it the way that I'm doing it and not following conventional wisdom, as it were?
It was a challenge, but I basically stuck to my guns about it. So when I had, you know, financial advisors and things in the past saying, look, you could make a much bigger margin by producing it as batch or mass production straight from the get-go. And yes, the cash flow implications are slightly different because you would have to pay that whole invoice upfront to produce 1,000 units. So we're talking, you know, a couple of £1,000 just to purchase that unit of style versus a pre-order model where you're doing one item at a time. I really just said, I don't want to do it like that. I want to stick to pre-order because I know that that's what feels right. And the main benefit that I saw at the beginning was, in a new startup, you're learning all the time what your customer responds well to. And it takes the risk out. So say you invest a few £1,000s into a run of one style. You've got one style, that's all you can offer on the website because that's all your cash allows you to do. Or you could do one style across 10 different product ranges, 1 unit of each, and put those on the website and then see what the customer is buying in reality, right?
Yes.
You then have, it's the difference between you're pushing these products onto the customer and you're saying, look, I've got to shift this. This stock has to go. I need to sell it. This whole business model is stressful as hell. Like, you've got hundreds of, and it leads to then, if you can't sell them and the customer's not responding to it, you're having to discount. You're having to further discount. You're having to get rid of this product. And eventually that's where it can end up in landfill, right? Or being burned, like some of the fashion brands have had to do, which is just awful. But this, because the model is broken, this doesn't make sense to operate a business model in this format. So yeah, doing pre-orders across a range of styles allowed us to sell multiple different styles to customers, and it's on a pull supply chain process. The customer is pulling the demand from us and we're responding to that. So
love that. That is literally flipping it upside down. You've literally flipped the concept in terms of how that, you know, the traditional way was, you know, and I, you know, again, so similar with Chop Chop, you know, we thought the same things, like, how do I create a business that, you know, is a lot more efficient, can still add real value, bring real quality to customers without following the traditional process of doing the way that it is, right? Yeah. And, you know, similar to you, yes, pre-orders had existed, but looking at how you can make mass customization and then adapting that and using that information to get and making people, making the customer almost like a user-generated sort of content, because the customer is actually informing your decisions as to what they like, and you're then able to produce those in the quantities that's necessary. You know, it's the same, you know, that's the same kind of model where, you know, we're like, right, well, we just got to fit into people's lifestyle because, you know, they're time poor, and, you know, now they don't have enough money anymore, or now, you know, they're worried about staying in a place for longer than an hour, you know, and stuff like that, you know. So how are we participating and creating an environment that makes people definitely feel like, okay, yes, we're connected to them, we understand what their challenges are, and they are informing some of this stuff. And that's just incredible. Like, wow, again, just really just some of the bigger brands are now just having these conversations. And it's incredible that smaller brands like you that have been around now, you're still a baby when you think about fashion retail. um, but the thinking, and you sticking to your guns, it was so great for you to have stuck with that position and not have, because now, that's what everybody's on. That's where the conversation is moving towards. So well.
To go the other way, I think if you
Huh?
start out with the pre-order model, it's easier to scale a business like that.
Yeah.
Trying to reverse engineer it when you've
Yeah.
already got stock. These big brands now have hundreds of thousands, if not millions of units of stock that they can't sell.
Yeah. But in a way, I get that the times have moved on, where the internet was not as, and direct to consumer was not as prevalent or as accessible as it is right now. That old school business model perhaps worked, where you now have the infrastructure. It doesn't make any sense, to keep it like that anymore. You have to now start thinking about, and I think, there's a, it's all about not thinking about you can't be linear in the way that you think about process and product and creation anymore. You definitely have to think about, the end use, and what happens to that product at the end of it. So the life cycle of that product that you've created, right from the person that picks up the very fabric to, or the very design that's done, to all the way down to when it's manufactured, ended up with the customer, and then what happens when the customer is done with that product. Which is just really, really incredible. So that's just wonderful. So cool that you were ahead of the game, pioneering this thinking, and a lot of it, obviously. Do you find that it's paying benefit for you right now? Obviously, taking that position, are you seeing a lot of benefit from that in terms of your customers? Are they letting that, come on, Alie, that was awesome, or that we love you even more now, or what's happening?
I think the benefits that come out of it is our ability to be agile, because we're able to respond to what's happening in the world rather than having loads of stock that we're having to turn into cash. We can be responsive and reactive to what's going on, and then produce new things and chop and change what's not working in our product range. So that benefits our customer, because we can be relevant. And then also from a sustainability point of view, customers are becoming much more aware of the benefits of that our model is basically supply meets demand. We're not over supplying, which leads to obviously waste. We are only supplying when the demand says that we should. So it matches, which means that it's equal and that there's no overproduction, which our customers are becoming more and more aware of. There is the drawback to that, is that we have become very delayed when the demand is heavy, because obviously we're then having to play catch up to the demand, and we're having to work super hard to get the supply out there. But
it's a good problem. It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and customers are understanding, because they know that by us doing that, we are meeting the demand. We're not overproducing. So
yeah,
it's helpful.
That's fantastic. That's just, honestly, that's just, again, I don't know what, if this isn't leadership in an industry, I don't know what is. And for such a young age, and I mean, having that thinking, 7 years ago, you're already thinking in that model. That's just like, come on, literally. I can't wait for your book.
Oh God.
I can't wait for your book.
Maybe one day. I feel like
I hope you're scribbling a lot of these things down, because there's, I think we probably need to do like multiple episodes to really get into Alie Mackintosh and the workings, because there's so many levels to you. Because as you talked about, you're a jack of all trades. You know your numbers, you know your fabrics. You're in the design. You're in the purpose. You're in the fitness. You're in the modeling. You're just like okay, like we can go on. There's many touch points. Many touch points. Okay, great. Well, I just want to move on to more outside of business. We're getting to the end of the episode, which is great, because unfortunately I could really, like I said, just talk to you for hours, and we can touch on so many exciting and interesting things that you're doing. But what excites you about the future for AYM? What's in the pipelines for AYM?
I think the thing that excites me the most is being able to see the change in the industry as a whole. So as other brands start to adapt more responsible ways of working in the fashion industry, that's exciting, because I know that we are in a good position to do that. And as our customer starts to understand more about how to be responsible with fashion, we are well positioned to be hopefully a leader in this area. So right now I feel like we are so small still, but the industry is so humongous. And as customers start to become more aware and look to find ethical and responsible brands, I hope that they'll come to us.
That's fantastic. Yeah, that's great. You just froze there. We're just waiting for Alie to come back. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, you froze. You froze for a second. So do you want to just say that last bit?
Yeah, I think it's just exciting to know that there's a huge opportunity for growth in the industry. And I look forward to providing more amazing experiences for new customers. So we have great loyal customers at the moment, and I want to create those experiences for new customers as well.
Where do you see, where do you see AYM in 5 years? Give me a number. But let's go hard numbers. What do you? Because you're already transacting in up to 5 continents, multiple countries. So where revenue wise, top line, where do you see? Where would you like to see AYM in 5 years?
At least million. So we're wanting to be at least sort of small.
Say that again. Say that again. We cut you. So I'm just going to ask the question again, and we're going to edit it again.
Okay,
but all right. But yeah. So top line, in 5 years, where do you see AYM in terms of revenue?
I would hope for 20 to 50 million, around that mark.
That's incredible.
The main thing for me is that I want to make sure that when I'm not hugely after just growth for the sake of growing, I want to grow in a sustainable way inside the business as well. So for me, the passion is the experience about the customers. So I want to maintain that as we grow. And I think that will lead to hopefully a network effect where people tell their friends about us, and then their friends tell their friends. And it's very much word of mouth and organic growth.
Yeah.
But in doing so, we're able to harness that customer experience as we grow and not lose sight of that. So yeah, slow and steady growth. Slow and steady wins the race, right?
Love that. How does Alie stay motivated? What keeps you, how do you, obviously as an entrepreneur, we always have to, keep ourselves motivated. We're the touch point for problems. All we do is problem solve, and firefight and do all those things. So how do you stay motivated? What's your go-to things that help you stay grounded and motivated?
For me, it's knowing that the issues that we're working with are so much bigger than the company, and that we can make a difference in the world. So, and the amount of time that we have in order to change these things is running out. So there's a sense of urgency there. We have to make a difference in the industry as soon as we can in order to undo some of the damage that's already been caused. Yeah. So that is the ultimate motivation, because it's so much bigger than any one of us. It's the world, and it's the impact that we're having. And then just on a sort of a daily basis, just making sure that I'm dealing with challenges that I find are exciting and that I'm curious about how to overcome them. And that is often where I'm finding, you know, these things that keep me up at night, because I'm wanting to figure out how it's done, and that gives this sort of burn inside of me of like trying to figure that out and overcome it. So yeah, I love those challenges and working through it in that way.
Great, fantastic. All right, cool. Now we're gonna go into some quick fire questions. All right.
Oh yeah, okay.
All right, okay. Right, what's your favorite color?
Blue.
What's inside your pocket right now, apart from
I
your
don't have
keys?
any pockets.
No pockets. No pockets.
On my table, I've got my AirPods.
All right, cool.
A hair clip.
What did you have for lunch, or what are you having for lunch?
I had a bagel.
You had a bagel? What was in the bagel?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Okay. Have you ever cheated on your stylist?
On my stylist?
Your hairstylist.
My hairstylist.
Answer.
No.
Ah, liar. You never cheated on your hairstylist?
No, I've been to the same hairdresser for pretty much my whole life.
Oh my God. Lucky woman or man. Incredible. Okay. What's your favorite hair product?
I would say the Phyto brand that you introduced me to, but
Phyto. I need to be getting some endorsements for this, but anyway, carry on if they're watching.
Phyto. Especially that one where you spray it in and then you hair dry your hair.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such
Volume
a shame
Active. The Volume Active.
Yeah, Volume Active.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's great. It's a great botanical brand. Okay. How would you say your hair reflects you? Does it reflect your personality, or does it reflect your stage of life you're in, or your identity? What is it?
I think my hair is probably straight and narrow, like I am. Like my tunnel vision, that's my hair. Just straight to the point.
Straight to the point. I like that. Okay. Are you sweet or savory?
Sweet, definitely. Big sweet tooth.
Yeah? Okay. Fantastic. Let me see. Do I have any other questions here for you? Yes, last question. I know you don't read or you don't watch movies and stuff like that. So what's your favorite book?
My favorite book. I always start books and read about 3/4 of them and then move on to the next one. So I always have about 5 on the go.
What's your favorite book? Just give me one.
My favorite book is Simon Sinek, Start With Why. Love that book.
Okay.
Find Your Passion by Ken Robertson, and Ray Dalio, Principles.
Wow. Okay. That's how you know Alie is not like, you know, she's not a person that you go to with one thing. You know, she just gave you 3. I asked her 1, but she's like, I can't do 1. I can't do 1. I got to give you 3. I love that. Awesome. That is so great. Alie, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Chop Chat. Again, you are definitely inspirational in your own space, doing what you do. We've had tons of conversations. I look forward to having tons more conversations, and and building a new network of brands that are purpose-driven and that reflect the world that we live in at the moment, and the values and the things that we appreciate as people, but also considering our planet and all the species that live amongst us and with us. Love. We'll talk. We'll catch up. I'll have to get you the next time when you're on Forbes list, which is going to be pretty soon, you know, making all that money. And there's so much to talk about on the business side. So at some point we'll have another just like business focused interview, like just pure business, because I think that's another part that is just going to blow people's minds, just how much you know about your shit.
Thanks for having me, Kaye. It's been so good to speak to you.
No, it's been great. It's been great.